Hello, friends! Welcome back to Dubster Dive. It's another recommendation. This one comes from CloakZeus798, and this one is Gilgamesh. Look, I'm not going to mince words. This anime is pretty infamous for those who've heard of it. This is a pretty bad show. I don't even know where to begin. Well, let's take this apart one piece at a time. Gilgamesh is a manga written by Shotaro Ishinomori from 1976 and ran until 1978, making it potentially the oldest manga/IP we've covered here so far. Well, I guess that's interesting. It also means that it predates anything like Dragon Ball or Saint Seiya. Huh. An anime that was allegedly darker, I don't know since I haven't looked into the manga, aired from October of 2003 until March of 2004 with 26 episodes, from Studio Group TAC, the studio behind Street Fighter 2V, Black Blood Brothers, and the beautiful Joe anime adaptation, which I didn't even know had an anime until researching this. That might be something worth looking into. So as far as Studio Group TAC, where are they now? Are they still relevant? Well, it's Dubster Dive, so of course they're not. The studio would declare bankruptcy in November of 2010. How do we keep stumbling upon shows where this is a thing? Alright. As far as the dub goes, the dub would come out from ADV Films in June of 2005. ADV themselves, as we briefly touched upon before, would go bankrupt in September of 2009, later being rebranded as Sentai Filmworks in a sense. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into Gilgamesh. As the name implies, it takes a lot of inspiration from the epic, which is why researching this was a pain in the ass, because every time I tried looking up stuff on the manga and or the cast, I kept getting addressed to David Vincent's Wikipedia page, or Gilgamesh from the Fate franchise, who is the one David Vincent voices. It got really annoying. Anyway, so the first episode of Gilgamesh opens with an upbeat opening? Yeah, I'm not gonna front here. The opening doesn't do the show any favors. But moving on from that, we start proper with a scientific cult. Yeah, really, a cult of scientists studying an interdimensional portal known as Heaven's Gate, when they decide to shut down all experiments, deeming it to be too dangerous, or they don't know what lies beyond. But one scientist goes rogue and causes a disaster that destroys the entire world by having a giant mirror blanket the sky. Yeah, it's really fucking weird. I just want to know how that works. So does that mean every time you look up, you see yourself looking down at you, and you see your house, or the roof of it, rather? And how does that work when it rains? Do the rain clouds appear under the mirror? Because there are plenty of instances where it's raining in this anime. I don't know. It just seems silly to me. So after that happens, and the show has explained to us still nothing, we then jump sometime forward as we meet our two main characters, Tatsuya and Kyoko, siblings that are running from loan sharks, who end up running into three strangers that look like they're dressed in bondage gear. Yeah, everyone memes the hell out of that. Whatever, I don't care how they're dressed. Let's just get a move on. The three strangers tell them they'll help them out, and use superpowers to kill the loan sharks chasing them. Kyoko and Tatsuya, I guess, freaked out by this, run, and they end up running into another group known as Orga. Look, this all happens really fast, nothing is explained to you, and it's really irritating. You don't even know the group's names either. I'm telling you them now for a convenience sake. So, who's Orga? Well, Orga happens to be our heroes in this story, allegedly. They're led by Countess of a word I can't even pronounce. So, we'll come back to her later, because the Countess is easily the most irredeemable anime character I've seen in a long time. Along with the Countess happens to be other teenagers around the siblings' age that also have superpowers, and they are to fight against Gilgamesh. You know, the bondage people we saw earlier. They are apparently evil and working for the rogue scientist that caused a disaster in the world. This disaster, by the way, was so supremely tremendous. Not only did it have a mirror blanket the sky, but it caused all computers to stop working across the planet, which started a world war that put everything into Mad Max mode. So because computers stopped working, everyone turned into savages and started pillaging? What? I guess they got pissed they couldn't get on the Netflix anymore. I don't know. It seems a bit of a huge leap. So the siblings join up with the Countess and are caught in the middle of this war between the two organizations. You also find out that the siblings are the children of the rogue scientist who goes by the name Enkidu. Subtle, I know. And that's basically the setup for this. I guess it should be noted you also find out the superpowers are called Dynamis, but it doesn't really matter. In fact, the first fight between Orga and Gilgamesh using these Dynamis powers, from what everyone says, is one of the worst animated fights in action history, and partway into the fight, it just cuts away to them driving the siblings to the Countess's home. I'm not joking. You'll be thinking, what the hell did I miss? And the show is full of that. I'll get more into my other issues with the show when we get into spoiler territory, so let's move on from here. Next is animation. Normally I don't comment much on animation for obvious reasons, but this time I have to. Everyone online I've seen when looking up what they thought of the animation has stated this is some of the worst animation they've ever seen. The show is nothing but dead-eyed character drawings and really depressing coloring and artwork. Everything looks gray, so it's like Call of Duty, except no life to it. It has even less life than Call of Duty. And I heard everything that animates just runs like shit, or looks like shit. Same thing, I suppose. But again, I can't judge it for that, so you'll just have to take my word for it. As far as the soundtrack, I already stated the opening doesn't do the show any favors. As you could probably tell by the plot breakdown I gave, the show is trying to go for a dark, depressing tale and kind of being an action character drama. So for that, the opening fails. And even aside from that, the OST isn't memorable in the slightest. If anything, it's really generic for a show like this. To be honest, I don't mind the premise. In fact, a post-apocalyptic anime could work if done right. Attack on Titan's proven that. As has something like Trigun. I'd count that as post-apocalyptic. That works, right? Right? Those are just a couple of examples, but this show, as you'll find out, doesn't really do a good job of it. Moving on from that, let's get into why this is called Dubster Dive. So, Tatsuya, our generic protagonist, is voiced by Blake Shepard. We've covered him here before as well, Main from Campione, and Shiryu from Saint Seiya. He's also Soma from Food Wars, and I've gotta say, he's someone who's starting to become one of my favorite VAs, which is why it saddens me to know he sounds like utter shit here. I'm not gonna mince words. Most of the people in this dub didn't care. They don't give convincing performances and are giving really, really dead dialogue. So yeah, Blake Shepard, I'm sorry man, but this was not one of your better works. Next we have Kyoko, voiced by Shelley Colleen Black, who most of you might know as Ainge Wallenstein from Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, or the original Cleo from Orphan, not to mention numerous other IPs. She's again one of Sentai and ADV Films' best. This anime, however, doesn't do her any favors. Again, I don't think it's her fault. A lot of it has to do with what she was given, but it doesn't help. It really doesn't. Next, we have the Countess, the bitch herself. We'll get into that later. Voiced by Alex Fox, if that is how you pronounce her name. And she's been in shows I haven't seen, so this is my first time hearing her. And again, if she wanted to give a performance that made me hate the character, good job, I suppose, but it wouldn't matter who voiced this character, I would still hate her. Next, we have Toru, one of the, I guess, teenagers that's with the Countess. Voiced by Quentin Hogg. Someone, again, who is also an ADV regular from what it looks like, but I haven't seen anything with them in it. Gonna look really stupid if they turn out to be in Razafon or something, but to be honest, I can't place them. Again, they did okay here, but they didn't sound like they gave a shit. Next, we have Osamu, voiced by Andrew Love. Andrew Love, this anime did you dirty, man. You're another great voice actor. He's still voicing to this day. In stuff like, well, he's in Ali no Sora, one of Sentai's current simuldubs. He was also in Fibrain, a show that I briefly talked about years ago on our channel. So he's been around a while. This show doesn't help him. Next, we have Fuko, voiced by Brittany Karbowski, and this allegedly was her debut role, which if that's the case, I am so sorry. Brittany Karbowski, for those of you that don't know, I just talked about her in the Camphor review. She's the voice of Wendy from Fairy Tail, Misaka from the A Certain franchise, or Rimuru from that time I was reincarnated as a slime. She is an amazing voice actress, but this show definitely shows that she was starting off. She at least put emotion into her work though, and I gotta be honest, probably the best performance in this dub, for better or worse. Now, as far as the ADR director, well, I tried looking stuff up on him, but I couldn't find shit. His name is Jack Albaret, but I don't know. Someone will let me know if I missed anything with him. Either way, the ADR direction for this show is not handled very well, in my opinion. There were several moments where characters would be panting on screen, but they wouldn't dub it. It was just blank audio of the characters just standing there panting after a fight. Like, what? How the fuck does that work? How did you miss that? Or did you guys just not care? Which, if you didn't care, I understand. Most of the people in this dub didn't care. Which brings me to the script and delivery. The problem with the show is its script. These characters are forced to say some horrific things, and not in the entertainingly over-the-top funny way, but in the stupidly expository way. 80% of the dialogue in this anime is exposition. And it's not even relevant exposition. For example, there's a scene where the Countess talks to a friend that she worked with before the world went to shit, and it's a 5-minute scene of them taking 15 seconds to say, did you know we used to work together? Yeah, those were fun times. But they drag it out so long with redundant bullshit. The whole show is like this. It is slow as hell. The first 2 episodes try throwing you into a mess of shit and cramming a lot in. Then after that, it just drops to a crawl. As if that wasn't the biggest problem. before expositing to you what everything is, the show has the nerve to throw a bunch of terminologies and names at you like you're supposed to give a damn what they are. Well, excuse me for watching your fucking product and wanting to understand things. So I'm being punished for wanting to know something when you start talking about it? In short, the script sucks. I don't think that's the scriptwriter's fault, though. I'm sure they did everything they could. The dub isn't very good and is definitely dated. The plot of the anime, it starts off making you curious, but then immediately drones off into its own delusions of bullshit and pretentiousness. Now, before I get into spoiler territory, I'm going to give this show my grade. And this is the first time I'm going to do this on Dubster Dive. Gilgamesh earns an F. Yes, as of right now, this is the worst anime we have covered here. And I don't make that choice lightly. But after looking back at the facts and everything I've seen from this anime, it is objectively one of the worst pieces of anime I've sat through. 26 episodes of a plot twiddling its thumbs up its own ass, not knowing where it's going, and seemingly forgetting shit halfway through. Speaking of which, let's go into spoilers. If for some reason you have morbid curiosity, which please don't, you can back out now. But don't leave me alone with this anime. I don't want to talk about it alone. Alright, let's get on with this. So in episode 1, one of the few things you'll notice right away is Tatsuya starts pissing blood. Is this brought up again? Nope. Just happens. Yeah, seriously. Pisses blood, is worried about it, never brought up again. Not after F1. That's it. Why? Okay. Moving on from there. So you might be wondering, well, how'd they deal with the loan shark situation? Because they're not gonna just let it go after the bondage team of Gilgamesh killed everyone, right? They didn't. They tracked them down at Orga's place where the Countess is residing, and the Countess purchased them outright. So she purchases them and says, don't worry, I'm not doing this for the kindness of my own heart. I'm doing it because I need you as my slaves. More or less. Because she needs them to fight against Gilgamesh. You find out Tatsuya also has these superpowers which are called Dynamis. Again, it's really dumb. It's contrived, but let's just roll with it. So, she's already purchasing them as slaves, submitting our protags to a life of slavery. Again. Alright. Let's move on from that then. So, a few episodes later, Kyoko gets abducted by Gilgamesh. Alright. It's about time I comment on this. Why is the group called Gilgamesh? I mean, I understand the implication. Again, Heaven's Gate, you find out, was founded in the tomb of Gilgamesh, the legendary figure. But why would you name your organization after a person? That's like if in Dragon Ball, the Ginyu Force were just called Ginyu, or the Frieza Army were just called Frieza. Call it the Gilgamesh Administration, or the Gilgamesh Squad, or something. It sounds silly, but it's better than just calling it after an organization, which, by the way, you find out Orga is short for that. Clever, I know. But we're here, I gotta talk about it now. One of the most deplorable things I think I've seen in an anime in a while. Kyoko gets abducted by Gilgamesh. They ask her to join because the leader of Gilgamesh, her father, wants to see her. She says no because the monster that destroyed the planet. So they're like, aight, cool. They let her go. Orga track her down And because she's already been let go, there's no tension. So the fight that ensues doesn't matter. There's no stakes here. Alright, moving on from that. Kyoko gets brought back to the Countess, and here's the scene I was referring to. The Countess inquires if Kyoko was raped. Kyoko states she wasn't. The Countess then says we'll have to see about that, and forces a full-body invasive examination on her against her will. I shit you not. She then berates Kyoko for being a virgin afterwards, and shits on her for saying that she one day would like to lose it to someone. Not only does she shit on her for being a virgin, she calls her a slut for having that desire. What the fuck? I gotta calm down. I gotta calm down. I gotta calm down. Listen, it's okay to have characters that are really fucked up in an anime. That's not the problem I have with this show. The problem with this whole thing, that not only is it demonstrably irredeemable, it's the fact that the Countess is supposed to be someone we root for. It's not like something where they want you to see things from both points of view and say, okay, maybe both sides have a point here. I don't know which one to root for. They both are drawing a line here with the moral gray area. No! They physically want you to root for the Countess and her cause, even though she is an awful, awful fucking character. So after the episode ends, the next episode starts with them talking about how Kyoko ran away. I imagine she would after that experience, but we're just thrust into this. Of course we are. So they go out and find her within a couple minutes. Wow. Yeah, glad the tension was there for that one, guys. After bringing her back, the Countess decides to let Kyoko go and kick her out of her house? Then why did you want her brought back? What was the point? Confounding matters even more, Kyoko doesn't even have any dynamics. So why did you even have any interest in her in the first place? She later tells Tatsuya and Kyoko, or tells Tatsuya, that him and Kyoko were necessary to fight Gilgamesh. No, Kyoko wasn't. Kyoko doesn't have any ability to do so. Tatsuya was the only one. And aside from that, you tell him this after you kicked Kyoko out, making it kind of pointless to even mention her. So she kicks Kyoko out, saying that you have to earn your keep. More on that later. So Kyoko is going to be forced to pay back her debt. We'll see what happens with that. What follows is apparently one of the professor's friends, or Countess's friends, I mean, has the ability to break open the mirror sky with a computer. They try explaining that it's a computer using vacuum tubes. You know, one of those 1970s old-ass computers that's probably twice as old as I am, realistically speaking. But that doesn't change the fact you fucker said computers don't work. In fact, around this time, cyborgs show up. Sliding doors that are closed and open electronically show up. You can't activate any of this without a computer! There's even full-functioning arcade machines! Do you people understand the... This show pisses me off so much. I've never had an anime frustrate me to this degree. So the sky gets opened up for a few minutes, but then Gilgamesh attacks, and around this time we're also introduced to Kazumatsuri, someone who's leading his own organization. He's leading up cyborgs as a security force, and All you need to know about Kazumatsuri is he's an asshole, and that's basically it. He's a dickhead, and he wants to just work for money. He's a merc, basically. So, the cyborgs Gilgamesh fight, destroying the machine, closing the sky back to a mirror, making it pointless. Again. Yay! So after the stupidity of the arcade and the next episode, and our characters calming down from the events, which don't even seem to really bother them all that much, Kyoko shows up again as Tatsuya finds her, and this is one thing I also haven't touched up upon yet. The entire show has been trying to paint the two of them not in a brother and sister relationship, but in one that probably shouldn't be. Yeah, you get the idea. This show tries doing the incest angle, and it's really fucked up. Why? So, yeah, they go on a sightseeing trip together, and it doesn't help matters that the other teens that were left behind at the Countess's place, the other members of Orga, are all calling it a date. Guys! They're fucking siblings! Would you stop? Please! Whatever, we find out after the date ends, Kyoko's actual job to earn money. She lied to Tatsuya saying it was someone who would refurbish pianos. Yeah, I'm serious. But her actual job is a stripper? Where the Countess shows up at her work and berates her for it, making fun of her, talking down to her, saying, I knew this is where you would end up when I kicked you out. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Our hero. Someone we're supposed to root for. I fucking hate this anime. I really do. Look, I'm just gonna jump ahead a bit here, because I don't want to talk about this show much longer. I really don't. I'm sorry. So, a few episodes later, you find out Tatsuya isn't actually, I guess, the son of Enkidu, but his genetic clone. Yay! I wonder what that means for the other members of Orga. I'm sure you all can figure it out already. So, shit continues to happen. Kyoko ends up losing her job because of a fight that breaks out between Gilgamesh and Kazumatsuri and the cyborgs. Kyoko ends up taking care of one of the members of Gilgamesh and then sleeping with him? Why? Okay, so Gilgamesh is... Yeah, they fuck off after this. Kyoko ends up going back to the Countess, not having anywhere to go, and the Countess is like, well, you're coming back to the hotel because you have no way to pay me back now. Then what was the point in kicking her out? Everything in this show just keeps getting made pointless. They keep backtracking everything they're doing. Okay, guys, we're about to get even more deplorable, if you can believe it. The Countess finds out Kyoko is pregnant with one of the members of Gilgamesh's baby. She then tries forcing Kyoko to abort the baby against her will. What the actual fuck? I know I'm sighing a lot and I'm complaining a lot, but I don't even know what I'm watching anymore. I was just... It's at this point, you as a viewer would probably run out of fucks to give and just go along with it and finish it because you feel like you have an obligation to at this point. So, as predictable, you find out that the other members of Orga were clones of the other scientists present at Heaven's Gate. And I genuinely didn't care at this point. So, if you're wondering how you found this out, Osamu, Andrew Love's character, who, by the way, is emotionless, that is literally his character trait, he's emotionless, cold, and calculated. That would work if everyone else in this show actually had emotion. But anyway, he goes to Kazumatsuri, who apparently knows a lot of information, alright? Walks in on him boning a prostitute. Here's how the conversation goes, by the way. Kazumatsuri says, "What, are you a voyeur? You're getting off on watching, so you must be." First, I can't believe I have to correct this. A voyeur is someone who gets off on being watched while doing a sexual act. A cuck is someone who likes watching the act unfold in front of them. You dumbass Kazumatsuri. So, Osamu holds up Kazumatsuri for the information, finds out they're clones. And here's the thing. So Tatsuya, they took Enkidu's genes, or genetic shit, and basically inseminated his mom's womb. Whereas the others, they were inseminated from artificial wombs. And here's where we come into Fuko, Brittany Karbowski's character, and why everyone I've seen online hates her. She goes on a massive tangent about how Tatsuya should feel privileged because he was a clone that came out of an actual vagina, whereas she and the rest were artificial. What? Why does that matter? Why? Why is everyone in this show such an unlikable fuck? Oh, and if you're wondering about Toru and what his character quirk is, the last member of the group, he's loyal to the Countess. No reason, just loyal to her. I don't know. Doesn't care about all the fucked up shit she does either. Oh, and one other character quirk I should mention about Fuko before we move on. She sneezes when she's near a person she likes. So, whenever she's around Tatsuya throughout the majority of the anime, she's sneezing. It's, like, why? I don't get it. Was it supposed to be funny? Or a unique quirk that was original? It's not interesting. It's just weird and kind of... no. Look, we're almost at the end here. Let me just wrap this up. So, the last couple of episodes, or the next couple of episodes, see, I'm messing my stuff up. See what Gilgamesh does to me? It makes my brain not work. My brain done broke. The next couple of episodes go into the backstory of Heaven's Gate and what happened there. The problem is most of this is information we already know at this point. So showing this to us, is a little redundant at this point. Also, most people aren't going to care at this point. They would have tuned out. But Enkidu, or Tatsuya and Kyoko's dad, basically gets drawn into Heaven's Gate by an artificial life form from the Great Beyond portal named Tyr. It's kind of stupid. Tyr possesses him and makes him fuck the world up. Next, we have Kyoko, who apparently goes into a coma because the baby with Dynamis is slowly killing her. But while in a coma, she has an existential crisis and is in a dark world where she must interact with herself in her inner demons. Why does every anime that consists of trying to be dark and edgy around this time have to try borrowing from Evangelion? Look, I'm sorry, alright? I know you people are gonna say something like, oh, it was a bitch because you're an Eva fan. I am an Eva fan, yes. However, it's really annoying when most of the anime that are like, oh, we're gonna be dark and edgy. Oh, really? What are you gonna do? We're gonna borrow this sequence from Eva. Do your own thing, man. Come on. The way it's even framed and done is ripped straight from Eva. It's shameless, man. If it happened in the original manga, well then, shit. Alright, fair enough. But that means someone would have to actually go back and check the manga. And I fucking dare you, go read the manga on this piece of shit. Actually, it's probably better. You'll probably get the better end of the deal, I don't know. So, Kyoko dies, I guess, or goes into a coma. It's not really clear. With Tatsuya's last words saying, I'll be a good dad to your baby, and you can be a good mom. Thanks, show. I really needed that. Yeah. Fuck this anime. We then have the Countess saying she knew this would happen, which is why she wanted to abort the... You didn't say that 6 episodes earlier when you tried forcing it on her. You didn't say death was a possible option or outcome. Alright, I'm just going to jump ahead to the final episode. So the final episode is basically an all-out war between the cyborgs, Kazumatsuri, with Orga joining forces, kind of, against Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh, mind you, who have had barely any presence in the anime, because when they do show up, the fights usually end in a stalemate with no one getting injured, or if they do get injured, you're just not invested enough to care. So, the fight drags on, people are dying left and right, and it's revealed the cyborgs might actually be human, or are human, and we're just wearing suits, I guess? Yeah, Kazumatsuri's a dick, as I stated. But then again, who isn't a dick? Who's the villain in this show and who's the hero? I'm so confused with this. But alright, Gilgamesh, as the fight drags on, has to call out their top people, which is the originals of the clones. Enkidu is here, the main villain, allegedly, of the entire anime, and he shares 5 minutes of screen time with Tatsuya, the main protag. Tatsuya, who up to this point, by the way, who's done nothing but bitch the entire anime and has been completely gloomy and emo whenever he has the chance to. Yet for some reason, everyone loves him and wants to drop everything for him. Look, I'm getting off track here. Let me just wrap this up. So, Enkidu gets shot, like, 2 minutes into him showing up, and the being tear comes out of him and starts dancing? And after this, everyone dies? Look, I'm trying to make sense of it, but yeah. Gilgamesh dies. Kazumatsuri and his group dies. Countess dies. All of Orga, the main characters, die. The mirror sky falls, and we're left with an ending of all of our characters dead, making everything up to that point completely pointless. Look, this anime sucks. There is a post-credits scene that hints at Kyoko's baby potentially surviving, but I don't care to theorize or debate anyone on that. I don't. I can't believe I'm saying this. Hate is a strong word, but I think I might hate this anime. You want an example of a series done right with this shit? Danganronpa. Look, the visual novel at the end had only a few characters left alive, but the message was of hope. That the future might be bleak, but hang in there. Never give up hope in the face of adversity or despair. Hang on to it and keep moving forward. That the future is uncertain, but someday it'll have to get better. That was a dark series that knew how to do everything right, including tackling taboo subject matter. But this, Gilgamesh, it's not. In fact, what makes it even worse is it's so crushingly depressing to sit through. And not in a way where it's like, oh, okay, so we're gonna tackle heavy themes here and everything. No. It's just awful. It's tasteless, tactless, and doesn't know what it's doing. It throws in the most absurd bullshit simply because it's trying to be edgy and thinks it's coming across as mature when it's not. Just because you have something like fucking rape in your anime doesn't make it mature. If you throw it in thoughtlessly, it's gonna make you come across as really deplorable. And my god, the characters are all unlikable. Every single one of them. I can't think of a single redeemable thing about this anime. If they wanted to go for a bleak atmosphere, I guess they got it. Maybe that's a positive in itself, but I just couldn't bring myself to care. Between the subpar English dub from voice actors I've grown to respect over the years and know can do much better, to the script that's nonsensical at best and annoyingly pretentious at worst, to the characters that will grate on your every nerves, especially the Countess. Fuck the Countess. I don't care who wrote her, but holy shit, they did a stellar job writing one of the most deplorable characters I've ever seen in an anime to date. From that, we have the nonsensical plot that constantly forgets shit it established just episodes prior. It's like they were writing as they went along rather than use the source material of the manga, which I wouldn't be surprised. Again, from what I could find, the anime is allegedly darker than the manga. I wholeheartedly believe that. The late 90s and early 2000s were riddled with a lot of anime trying to break the mold and trying to be dark and edgy. Again, this anime came out around the same time Elfenlied did, amongst others. Difference is, Elfenlied had a message. Sure, it was fucked up and you might not agree with it, and I dare say it might be a little bit overrated, but at least it had something. This? I struggle to find anything. When the show's not being jaw-droppingly depressing and appalling, it's dreadfully fucking boring. You might be asking yourself, how does a show with such fucked up subject matter boring? They found a way, because at the very least, a show would at least make you angry for throwing that shit at you. But by the time they tried doing the screwed up shit to Kyoko past the halfway point with the baby, as stated earlier, I just ran out of fucks to give. But I've dragged this on long enough. In short, stay far, far away from Gilgamesh. I'd watch Camphor twice over again before ever watching this. Fuck this anime. I'm gonna go hide under my bed where it can never hurt me again. But anyways, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of it. Maybe you liked it more than I did. Hell, maybe you have more hate for it than I do. Which, if that's the case, let's be friends. But in all seriousness. And if you have any other shows you'd like to see us cover here, please let me know. And we'll get to them eventually. Possibly. We're not quite done with request month yet. Still some stuff to get through. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So until next time, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Sorry if this review seemed way more negative than others, and if I rambled on, but everything I said about this show is true. Stay away from Gilgamesh. If you want other anime that covers subject matter like this, well, play the Danganronpa visual novels, or go watch something like Attack on Titan. I feel it does a great job setting the mood and everything right. Till next time, guys. Thank you all so much for watching again. Can never say that enough.